Today, the richest person on the planet is Bernard Arnault. He sells the world's most famous luxury items, controls the best-selling brands of cosmetics and perfumes, premium watches, and jewelry. Whose handiwork is this? But Arnault's companies also make billions on something humanity has never been able to live without throughout its history: alcohol. People make it from anything that grows or comes to hand: apples, agave, bananas, pineapples, grapes, corn, wheat, cacti, birch sap, sugarcane, sweet potatoes, palms, pumpkins. And where little grows, like in the steppes of Central Asia, you can ferment mare's milk to get a potent kumis. Why is it that something which harms our entire body, from the liver to the brain, is the most desired thing for humans in moments of both immense joy and deep sorrow? But if alcohol is harmful and kills, why have people continued drinking it for millennia? And most importantly, why is it that this essentially perfect narcotic is something no one can or wants to ban? Look at this unfortunate nursing mother with an empty glass beside her. It might seem like yet another anti-drinking social ad, but in reality, it's the opposite. Check out the happy, glowing with health mother next to her, holding a glass of beer, with a French caption above that reads, "Beer is nutritious." Think it's some kind of joke? Here's another ad poster proving that the malt in beer has nutritional qualities needed during breastfeeding, while hops act as a tonic. What's the point of this bizarre early 20th century advertising? It vividly illustrates one of humanity's main quests, to convince itself that alcohol is somehow beneficial. Doctors recommend sleeping pills, but you know how it goes, like a childhood argument. Want me to prove drinking is good for you? Look, alcohol is harm, harm is poison, poison is death, death is sleep, sleep is health, therefore, drink to your health. Obviously, this logic is nonsense. According to official WHO statistics, about 3 million people die each year from alcohol and related diseases. That means booze consistently wipes out the equivalent of a major European city like Rome or, in the US, Chicago. Does that impress you? I doubt it, because the instant pleasure you can buy at any store will always outweigh some distant potential consequences. There's even a theory that it was the craving for alcohol that drove humans down from the trees to the ground and, essentially, made us human. The drunken monkey theory. What's that? In 2000, an American biologist proposed a hypothesis that all animals that regularly eat fruit inevitably get a little tipsy. Yeasts multiply on the surface of fruits, breaking down sugar and producing ethanol, alcohol. And that's the basis of any alcoholic drink, whether it's light beer or the world's strongest 100-proof vodka, Radoslav Spiritus. So, follow the numbers. Ripe fruit on the tree is about 0.5% ethanol. Fruit that falls to the ground, but isn't overripe, is up to 1%. And fruit that's fallen and overripened can have as much as 4 to 5% alcohol. What's the conclusion? Alcohol has been a staple dish for primates for millions of years. And considering that ethanol is a tiny, volatile molecule that can travel long distances through the air, it means the smell of alcohol helps animals find sweet treats faster. Plus, alcohol stimulates appetite and is, in itself, a highly efficient energy source. To put it in perspective, the calorie content of some sugary, harmful Coca-Cola is 42 kilocalories per 100 milliliters. Red wine is on average twice as nutritious, and vodka is 5 times more so. Now think about how much more mathematically advantageous it is to roam the ground looking for overripe, alcohol-soaked fruit than to climb branches, get less energy, and spend your own in the process. In short, scientists are trying to prove this theory, and genetically, we have an enzyme in our DNA that's far more powerful than in other primates. It breaks down alcohol and removes it from the body. Over the course of evolution, scientists believe it became 40 times more efficient. So, as a species, we've been constantly learning to process alcohol better. Essentially, if humans had stuck to slightly overripe fruit, alcohol wouldn't pose the slightest problem. The trouble with alcohol begins when humans figure out how to produce it themselves. This vile brew that turns even the most respectable people into animals.
Because it is a vile drink that turns even the most respectable men into complete scoundrels.
2.5 billion people, that's roughly the current global average of how many actively drink. That's a third of the planet's 8 billion consistently buzzed. From this, we conclude that alcohol, in all its forms, is the third most popular liquid on Earth, after water and tea. Which means no matter how dire the consequences of drinking, the profits from its sale will always be greater. Rough math, take the official average life expectancy, say, in the US, 77 years, subtract 18, and you get 55 years of conscious existence for the average American. Take another official statistic. How much does this average American drink per year? Currently, it's about 9 liters of pure alcohol. Let's not debate the precision of these numbers for now. Just consider the scale. Over their lifetime, the average person will consume 500 liters of alcohol, not pure, of course, but diluted. That's tens of tons of various alcoholic beverages, of which there are hundreds, if not thousands, produced officially. Special taxes, excises, are paid on every can of beer, bottle of vodka, or whatever else. The industry employs a huge number of people, in fields and vineyards, at factories, in logistics, stores, bars, and restaurants. Now imagine, on one side of the scale, you have abstract statistics like the fact that in the US, 49,000 people die each year in alcohol-related traffic accidents. By the way, no one's suggesting banning or restricting cars, which kill about 10,000. Or here's more data. A chronic drinker cuts their life expectancy by about 20 years. On the other side, real money in the budget, industry, culture. Beer comes to mind in Germany or the Czech Republic, wine in France, Italy, or Spain. And overall, the situation today is this. The global alcohol industry earns nearly $1.5 trillion a year. That's 3 times more than the worldwide sales of smartphones, 15 times more than coffee or chocolate sales. It's roughly equivalent to the GDP of sizable countries like Indonesia or Spain. Why does this happen? Because alcohol is the perfect drug. First, it's incredibly easy to produce and dose. Ferment anything with sugar, or even starch. Potato peels will do, and pour it out. Second, compared to other psychoactive substances, alcohol has a very long habituation period, and serious health issues might only start after decades. Meaning, if you stop in time, they might not start at all. Third, alcohol is nearly impossible to ban because it can be made from anything, anywhere. Even when dry laws are imposed, like in some Muslim countries today, it doesn't yield any obvious developmental advantage. Look at this. Take the statistically heaviest drinking countries. Most alcohol is consumed mainly in European countries, but there are exceptions. Romania is in the first place in the ranking, which has gone far ahead of all countries. 17 liters of pure alcohol per person per year are consumed here. Georgia takes the second place. Lovers of homemade wines drink about 14.3 liters of ethanol per person. And the Czech Republic took the third place with a slight lag, where the average citizen drinks 13.3 liters of pure alcohol per year. And compare them to nations where drinking is nominally non-existent. Start with life expectancy. As we see, neither wine in France nor beer in the Czech Republic stops the French or Czechs from living long and happily. Meanwhile, strict religious dry laws in Somalia or Mauritania don't exactly save them. Another key indicator of societal health is the number of intentional homicides per 100,000 people. It might seem that in hard-drinking Grenada, people kill each other more often, but again, in France or the Czech Republic, murders are minimal, just like in the non-drinking, long-living Kuwait. Finally, GDP per capita. It can be equally high in boozy Czechia and sober Kuwait. But that doesn't mean we can just call it a day and say booze is harmless. Look at this chart published in 2010 in the world's leading medical journal, The Lancet. These diagrams show the harm different drugs cause to individuals and society. It starts with mushrooms, then LSD, ecstasy, steroids, by the way, something some bodybuilders love to inject, and somewhere in the middle, marijuana and tobacco. Check out the episode on cigarettes. But you're probably curious who's the most dangerous here, and by such a wide margin? Not cocaine, not even crack or heroin. At the top, naturally, British scientists put alcohol. It's the greatest threat to life, family, with the biggest financial losses and risk of harm to others. In plain terms, it's booze that most often leads to brawls, stabbings, crashes, and other mayhem. And alcohol-related mortality is second only to heroin. How does all this coexist? First, if you dig into history, alcohol really is a big deal and often helps. Take ancient Egypt. Drinking raw Nile water wasn't exactly a thrill. But turn it into beer, and as it brews and ferments, many harmful microorganisms, fungi, and such die off. Even today, people heading to Asian countries, like India, where water purity is questionable, happily disinfect themselves before meals with a bottle from duty-free. Second, genuinely naturally made alcoholic drinks, like beer, do contain plenty of useful elements, B vitamins, phosphorus, potassium. The foamy stuff can boost levels of so-called good cholesterol. But now I'm just listing excuses for my wife. Why don't I want to take your supplements in the morning and prefer hanging out with friends at the bar? We're getting our vitamins there. And third, alcohol has been with us, with humanity, for so long that it's some kind of universal tool. It's used to celebrate, gifted when people don't know what else to give, used to fight fear and pain. Ever heard of the Frontline 100 grams? Or before anesthesia was invented, when someone needed a leg amputated in field conditions, alcohol became the anesthetic. When there's no money, a bottle turns into currency, medicine, a source of inspiration and fun, and finally, status. Notice this. All these alcohol-related images are sold to us through advertising, just like with cigarettes. Who needs plain dried tobacco in paper or fermented grape juice in barrels that'll ruin your life and break your future? To win success, it has to become a symbol. So, back to the richest man on the planet. As I said, he and his family make billions on elite alcohol. Take Moët champagne, for example. Look at its advertising face. Possibly the greatest tennis player in history, a man with an angelic reputation, Roger Federer. Or another premium brand, Belvedere vodka, represented with a suave, seasoned dance by the 5-time James Bond, Daniel Craig. There he is again, as 007, pouring a beer. Justin Timberlake pitches tequila, Matthew McConaughey, bourbon, the stunning Scarlett Johansson, that same champagne. None of them are associated with scientists' warnings about alcoholism or life's failures. Quite the opposite. With them, you'll feel brutal, beautiful, and carefree. Talking about the drinks here? Or take a look at this ad poster for Swedish Absolut Vodka. It's a genuine work of art. Because its creator was none other than Andy Warhol, America's top artist in the Artist Village. He made this poster on commission in 1985. After that, he'd bring in dozens of other artists to create decades of creativity and art around a simple vodka bottle. Though, in truth, it's not just any bottle. It's a Swedish apothecary flask that became one of the world's best-selling alcohol brands. Over 25 years of advertising, about 1,500 posters were made, spotting the bottle's shape everywhere imaginable. I especially love this one, Amsterdam. Though the most honest ad for any vodka looks like this. By the way, they say the great American artist barely drank alcohol himself and used Absolut vodka as perfume for fun. Probably not without reason. Ever heard of the Great Harvard Study? For 75 years, university scientists tracked the lives of their own graduates, plus added 456 regular folks from Boston's poor families to the experiment. Why? To figure out why some people become happy and stay that way even in old age, while others turn miserable and die early. So, What do you think financial success depends on most? Education, a good job, smart investments? The study showed it's relationships. People satisfied with their relationships at 50 were healthy at 80. Good, warm relationships act as a buffer, shielding us from life's blows, from turning into crippled old folks. And where does alcohol fit in? As this lifelong study revealed, it's the most destructive force. Alcohol most often led to divorces, depression, illness, and loneliness. In essence, alcohol in human history is comparable to a weapon. Both are part of our culture and nature. Both demand responsibility and control. Fail to stop in time, and it ends in ruin, moral and physical. If you liked the content, don't forget to react to it.